First contact's consequence. The vast emptiness of space distorted around the edges of the Myriax Confederation fleet. 12 warships, arranged in perfect defensive formation, hung silently against the backdrop of stars. Their crystalline hulls shimmered with faint blue energy as internal systems maintained optimal battle readiness. At the center of the formation, the command vessel Eternal Vigilance housed Fleet Commander Vexel, who stood motionless before the tactical display. Status report, Vexel demanded, 4 upper appendages intertwined in the posture of extreme concentration. The commander's exoskeleton clicked softly as secondary limbs tapped rhythmically against the command podium. Unknown vessel maintains approach vector. Commander, responded Tactical Officer Zenith, her bioluminescent sensory nodes pulsing with anxiety. Distance, 7 million kilometers and closing. Velocity suggests sublight propulsion system of unknown configuration. Vexel's compound eyes narrowed, focusing on the holographic projection. The vessel appeared as merely a point of light, yet its energy signature defied classification algorithms. For 3 standard cycles, the Myriax border sensors had tracked this anomaly as it penetrated deeper into their territory, with seemingly deliberate purpose. Magnification, ordered Vexel. The display shifted, particles of light reconfiguring to reveal the approaching ship. Unlike the elegant crystalline architecture of Myriax vessels, this craft was angular, armored, and utilitarian. No decorative elements softened its silhouette. Nothing but function embodied in form. Analysis complete, announced Science Officer Thrix, voice wavering. Commander, vessel configuration matches historical records of human warships. A collective ripple of unease passed through the command chamber. For centuries, the Myriax Confederation had maintained isolation from other species, particularly humans. The first contact catastrophe remained embedded in cultural memory. How a single human vessel had annihilated an entire Myriax expedition fleet when a greeting display was misinterpreted as an attack pattern. Impossible, whispered Vexel. Humans have never ventured this far into the outer reach. Verification confirmed, insisted Thrix, manipulating the holographic controls with precise movements of her lower limbs. Design characteristics match human Aegis-class destroyer. Weapons capability. Significant. Defensive systems. Unknown, but presumed substantial. Vexel felt the weight of command press heavily upon his exoskeleton. The Myriax had avoided human space for generations, building their confederation in the shadows of smaller stars. Their technological progress had been impressive, yet humans remained an unknown variable, dangerous, unpredictable, and now inexplicably here. Alert status Alpha, declared Vexel. All vessels assume combat formation Delta. Activate defensive matrices at full capacity. As the fleet rearranged itself, weapon systems coming online with soft pulses of energy, Communications Officer Lyrax approached. Commander, High Council requests immediate briefing. They're concerned. Concerned, echoed Vexel with a sharp clicking of mandibles. 12 of our finest vessels face a single human warship, and they're merely concerned. Connect me. The holographic display shifted to reveal 5 Myriax elders, their exoskeletons adorned with the ceremonial plates of governance. The High Counselor, Matriarch Selene, leaned forward, her ancient eyes reflecting the artificial light. Commander Vexel, explain this incursion, she demanded without preamble. Matriarch, we've identified a human warship entering Confederation space, Vexel reported. We've assumed defensive posture and await your guidance. Humans, whispered one of the elders, body language expressing ancestral dread. After all these cycles of peace, Matriarch Selene's appendages trembled slightly before she steadied herself. Your assessment, Commander. The vessel approaches directly, making no attempt to mask its signature or trajectory, Vexel explained. This suggests either supreme confidence or diplomatic intent. Diplomacy. From humans, another elder scoffed. Their history speaks otherwise. Nevertheless, Continued Vexel, I recommend caution. This single vessel, while formidable, cannot threaten our entire Confederation. Perhaps there is purpose behind this approach that we do not yet comprehend. The council members exchanged meaningful glances, communicating in the subtle body language that transcended verbal expression. Finally, Matriarch Celine nodded. You have authorization to engage if threatened, Commander, she declared. However, if opportunity for communication presents itself without risk to your fleet, we grant discretion. The Confederation has evolved since our last encounter with humans. Perhaps they have as well. As the transmission ended, Vexel turned back to the tactical display. The human vessel had altered course, executing a series of maneuvers that defied prediction algorithms. What are they doing? Questioned Zenith, mandibles clicking in confusion. Analysis suggests defensive positioning, offered Thrix hesitantly. They appear to be placing their most heavily armored sections toward our fleet. They've detected us, concluded Vexel. Impressive at this range. For several tense moments, the command chamber remained silent as officers monitored the approaching vessel. Its behavior contradicted historical records, where humans typically maintained aggressive vector approaches. This ship moved with almost ceremonial precision, each course correction seemingly calculated to appear non-threatening, while maintaining defensive integrity. Commander, Lyrax broke the silence. I'm detecting transmission patterns consistent with communication attempts across multiple frequencies. Vexel's sensory appendages twitched with surprise. They're trying to establish contact. Affirmative. Pattern suggests universal greeting protocols, similar to our own. Impossible, muttered Zenith. Humans don't negotiate. They conquer. Vexel contemplated the tactical display, where the human vessel now hung motionless, maintaining exact distance from the Myriax fleet. This behavior contradicted everything in their historical database. Open receiver channels, ordered Vexel, earning shocked glances from his officers. Passive only. Let's hear what they're broadcasting. With reluctant precision, Lyrax adjusted communication systems. Moments later, a voice, distinctly human, filled the command chamber. Myriax Confederation vessels. This is Captain Eliza Harlow of the United Earth Alliance vessel Horizon's Reach. We approach under peaceful conditions, seeking diplomatic exchange. Please respond to confirm reception. The message repeated in several variations, each carefully modulated to penetrate different potential communication systems. The precision suggested extensive preparation. They know us, whispered Thrix in disbelief. They know our designation, our language structures. Impossible, insisted Zenith again, though with less conviction. Vexel's mind raced through possibilities. The human ship outmatched any individual vessel in their fleet, yet appeared deliberately non-aggressive. Historical records painted humans as conquerors, yet this Captain Harlow offered diplomacy. Prepare response channel, Vexel decided. Minimal information. Diplomatic Protocol Alpha 7. Commander, interrupted Zenith suddenly. Energy spike detected from the human vessel. Weapons? Demanded Vexel, body tensing. Negative. I don't understand, admitted Zenith, manipulating controls frantically. Energy signature doesn't match any known weapon system. It's directed toward us but doesn't appear hostile. Visual, ordered Vexel. The display revealed a pulse of soft blue light emanating from the human ship, spreading outward like ripples in liquid. As it reached the perimeter of the Myriax fleet, sensors registered no harmful effects. Analysis, prompted Vexel. Thrix worked frantically at her station. It appears to be scanning technology, but far more advanced than our own. They're creating a complete quantum-level reading of our entire fleet simultaneously. Impossible, Zenith repeated, now a hollow mantra. They've just mapped every system, weakness, and capability we possess. Realized Vexel, mandibles clicking in agitation. In seconds, the implications settled heavily upon the command chamber. If humans possessed such technology, they could have neutralized the fleet already. The restraint indicated either strategic purpose or genuine diplomatic intent. "Commander," Lyrax called out, voice trembling. "New transmission from the human vessel. Visual component included." "Display," ordered Vexel after brief hesitation. The holographic projection shifted, revealing the bridge of the human vessel. Unlike the crystalline elegance of Mariax ships, the human command center appeared functional, utilitarian, yet undeniably advanced. At its center stood a figure, clearly the captain, bipedal, with dark skin, and features arranged in what Vexel recognized from briefings as a smile, though historical context suggested this could indicate either aggression or friendliness. "Commander Vexel of the Mariax Confederation," the human addressed him directly. "I appreciate your patience. My name is Captain Eliza Harlow. We've been authorized to establish first official contact between the United Earth Alliance and the Mariax Confederation after centuries of mutual avoidance." Vexel felt his officer's eyes upon him. How did this human note his name? Their transmissions had been passive, receiving only. "Tactical. Verify weapon status," Vexel whispered to Zenith. "All systems dormant on the human vessel," she confirmed. "They're completely open to attack." This contradicted every strategic doctrine in Mariax military history. No commander would leave their vessel vulnerable during first contact with a potentially hostile species. After careful consideration, Vexel activated the response channel. "This is Commander Vexel. Your presence in Confederation space is unprecedented. Explain your purpose." The human captain's expression shifted subtly. "Commander, we understand your caution given our shared history. The United Earth Alliance seeks to establish diplomatic relations with all sentient species in this sector. Your confederation has expanded impressively in recent decades, and our territories will soon border one another. We believe proactive communication serves both our interests. Our historical records indicate previous contact resulted in hostilities." Vexel responded carefully. "The Proxima incident," acknowledged Harlow with a solemn nod. "A tragic misunderstanding. Both our species have evolved since then, Commander. We've learned from past mistakes." As they conversed, Science Officer Thrix approached Vexel's podium, speaking in hushed tones. "Commander, deep scans reveal the human vessel possesses defensive capabilities far exceeding our estimates. Their power containment systems alone suggest technology centuries beyond our most advanced theories." Vexel processed this information while maintaining diplomatic composure. "Captain Harlow, you approach with a warship rather than a diplomatic vessel. This contradicts your stated peaceful intentions." The human's expression shifted again. Was that amusement? "The Horizon's Reach is our most advanced vessel, Commander. We sent it precisely because we respect the Mariax military capability. Would you have preferred we send a vulnerable diplomatic ship instead?" The logic was disturbingly sound. Vexel found himself reassessing human psychology in real time. "As a gesture of good faith," continued Harlow, "I'm transmitting historical archives, documenting Earth's diplomatic relations with 17 other spacefaring species over the past century. You'll find our intentions consistent." Data streams began filling Mariax receivers, massive information transfers that would require days to analyze properly. "Commander," Zenith interrupted urgently. "Multiple objects deploying from the human vessel." "Weapons?" demanded Vexel, body tensing. "Negative. Small, unarmed drones. Dozens of them, arranging in formation." The tactical display shifted to show small devices spreading outward from the human ship, positioning themselves in a complex three-dimensional pattern between the vessels. "Captain Harlow, explain these deployments immediately," Vexel demanded, signaling his fleet to battle readiness. "A traditional diplomatic offering, Commander," Harlow explained calmly. "These are cultural exchange drones containing art, music, scientific knowledge, and historical records. They're programmed to transmit their contents and then deactivate. No offensive capabilities whatsoever." As if on cue, the drones began emitting soft pulses of light in complex, beautiful patterns, creating a stunning visual display in the void between fleets. "It's a greeting ceremony," whispered Thrix in wonderment. "Similar to our own ancestral traditions." The implications staggered Vexel. Humans had studied Mariak's culture deeply enough to replicate their most sacred greeting traditions, yet the Confederation knew almost nothing of human customs in return. "A beautiful display, Captain," acknowledged Vexel cautiously. "However, warning," shouted Zenith suddenly. Energy surge detected in drone cluster. "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Vexel instantly, his historical caution overriding diplomatic considerations. The Mariak's fleet responded with practiced precision, crystalline engines flaring as vessels scattered in predetermined defensive patterns. Simultaneously, automated defense systems targeted the drone cluster, energy weapons charging. "No, wait," came Harlow's voice, suddenly urgent. "Commander, it's not." The first Mariak's vessel fired, energy beams lancing through space to strike the drone formation. The resulting chain reaction was immediate and catastrophic, not an explosion, but a cascade of energy that amplified and reflected the Mariak's weapon fire back toward the fleet with exponentially increased power. 3 Mariak's vessels' shields collapsed instantly under the reflected energy, hulls cracking as emergency systems struggled to compensate. The command chamber of the Eternal Vigilance filled with emergency alerts as Vexel watched in horror. "Cease fire," he ordered desperately. "All vessels, cease fire immediately." On the still open communication channel, Captain Harlow's expression had transformed to one of alarm. "Commander, those drones contain cultural artifacts. The energy surge was the initiation of the holographic display sequence." As the energy dissipated, the truth became horrifyingly clear. The drones had contained no weapons, only sophisticated projection technology that had interacted catastrophically with Mariak's energy weapons. A peaceful greeting had been transformed into a deadly incident through misunderstanding and fear. "Defensive positions," ordered Vexel grimly, knowing what must come next. The humans would surely retaliate for this unprovoked attack. "Prepare for—" "Commander Vexel," interrupted Captain Harlow, her voice remarkably controlled despite the situation. "I understand your reaction. Please, allow us to assist with emergency recovery for your damaged vessels. We have medical and engineering capabilities that might save lives." The offer stunned Vexel into momentary silence. By all historical precedent, the humans should now be launching a devastating counterattack. Instead, they offered aid. "This is some deception," insisted Zenith. "They provoked us deliberately." "No," realized Vexel slowly. "They didn't fire. We did." As damage reports flooded in, Vexel made the most difficult decision of his military career. "Captain Harlow, we would appreciate assistance for our damaged vessels." The human's expression softened. "Understood, Commander. Rescue shuttles are launching now. I suggest we both take some time to reflect on how easily misunderstandings can escalate before we continue our diplomatic discussion." As human rescue vessels approached the damaged Mariak ships, Vexel contemplated the profound implications. In a single encounter, everything the Confederation believed about humans had been challenged. Their technology was far more advanced than anticipated, yet they showed restraint where aggression was expected. "Commander," whispered Thrix beside him, "I've begun preliminary analysis of the transmitted historical archives. If accurate, we've been wrong about humans for centuries." Vexel watched the tactical display as human medical teams boarded damaged Mariak's vessels. "Perhaps," he acknowledged, "we've all been wrong about a great many things." The edge of understanding. Captain Eliza Harlow stood motionless on the bridge of the Horizon's Reach, watching as her medical and engineering teams returned from the damaged Mariak's vessels. Behind her impassive expression, her mind calculated possibilities, assessed risks, and anticipated reactions with machine-like precision. 23 hours had passed since the incident, what her tactical officer had already dubbed the greeting misfire. "Status report," she requested, voice betraying none of the tension her body language concealed from the alien observers. Medical teams report 42 Myriacs treated for various injuries, responded Commander Ibarra, her XO. 17 critical cases stabilized. No fatalities. Engineering teams implemented temporary structural repairs to all 3 damaged vessels. They should maintain integrity until the Myriacs can complete proper overhaul. Harlow nodded, eyes still fixed on the tactical display where the Myriacs fleet maintained formation at a cautious distance, and our analysis of their response. Lieutenant Chen, tactical officer, stepped forward. The Myriacs commander demonstrated remarkable restraint, Captain. After the initial incident, not a single weapon was activated despite their clear tactical disadvantage. Their military discipline is impressive. More impressive than their intelligence gathering, noted Commander Ibarra with uncharacteristic heat. They fired on cultural exchange drones. If our shield technology hadn't been programmed to redirect rather than absorb energy. They acted from historical precedent and fear, interrupted Harlow. Just as humanity might have, centuries ago. She turned from the display, facing her bridge crew directly. Each officer had been selected specifically for this mission, the most critical first contact initiative since the Arcturus Accords. Each understood the stakes extended far beyond this single encounter. Let's remember our primary mission, Harlow continued. The Myriacs Confederation controls access to the Perseus Transit, which we need for expansion into the outer reach. They've avoided contact with all major galactic powers for centuries. Today's incident confirms our intelligence assessment. They fear us more than we realized. With respect, Captain, interjected Lieutenant Chen. After witnessing our technology in action, that fear has likely increased exponentially. Harlow's expression softened slightly, perhaps, but fear mixed with respect creates opportunity for dialogue. Has Commander Vexel responded to our communication request? Just coming in now, Captain, announced Communications Officer Rodriguez. They're ready to resume dialogue. Commander Vexel requests visual conference only, no further drone deployments. A ripple of tension-breaking laughter passed through the bridge. Harlow allowed herself a small smile. Understandable. Prepare conference protocols. Lieutenant Chen maintained defense grid at minimal capacity, visible but non-threatening. Minutes later, the main view screen activated to reveal Commander Vexel. The Myriacs officer's exoskeleton showed subtle stress fractures, evidence of the physical strain the past day had imposed. Behind him, Harlow could see Myriacs officers working diligently at crystalline control interfaces. Commander Vexel, Harlow acknowledged with a respectful nod. Thank you for continuing our dialogue. How are your injured crew members recovering? Thanks to your medical intervention, all will survive, responded Vexel directly. Your technology is impressive. Harlow recognized the implied question. Standard emergency protocols, Commander. The United Earth Alliance places great value on preservation of life, all life. So your historical archives indicate, Vexel noted. My science division has been analyzing the data you transmitted. If accurate, humanity has evolved considerably since our species' last encounter. As have the Myriacs, I suspect, offered Harlow. Isolation has clearly not prevented your technological advancement. Vexel's compound eyes flickered. A gesture Harlow's xenobiology briefing had identified as indicating thoughtful consideration. Captain Harlow, let us speak directly. Your vessel outclasses our entire fleet. Your medical technology saved lives we could not have saved ourselves. Your defensive systems turned our weapons against us without effort. Yet you offer diplomacy rather than demands. What does humanity truly want from the Myriacs Confederation? The directness was refreshing. Harlow had prepared for weeks of careful diplomatic maneuvering before reaching such candor. Partnership, Commander, she answered simply. Humanity seeks access to the Perseus Transit. In exchange, we offer technological exchange, defensive alliance, and economic integration. The United Earth Alliance has maintained peaceful relations with 17 spacefaring civilizations for over a century. We wish to add the Myriax as the 18th. And if we refuse, then we respectfully withdraw and seek alternative routes to the outer reach, Harlow responded without hesitation. Conquest is inefficient, Commander. Cooperation benefits all. Vexel's mandibles clicked rapidly. Surprise, Harlow's briefing indicated. Your honesty is unexpected, Captain. As is yours, Commander. Perhaps our species have more in common than historical records suggest. For several moments, silence hung between them. Harlow waited patiently, allowing the Myriax commander space for consideration, a courtesy rarely extended in high-stakes negotiations. I am not authorized to negotiate access to the Perseus transit, Vexel finally stated. Such decisions require High Council approval. However, I am authorized to invite a small diplomatic delegation to Myriax Prime for formal discussions. Progress beyond all projection models. Harlow maintained her composed expression while mentally recalibrating mission parameters. We would be honored, Commander. However, protocol suggests neutral territory for initial diplomatic exchanges. Reasonable, acknowledged Vexel. There is an uninhabited system at the edge of the transit. We call it Nexus Point. It contains a habitable moon where we could establish temporary facilities for discussions. Acceptable, agreed Harlow. I propose a 3-day preparation period before our delegations meet. This would allow both sides to properly prepare and communicate with our respective authorities. As they finalized preliminary arrangements, Lieutenant Chen approached Harlow's command chair, speaking in hushed tones. Captain, long-range sensors detect additional Myriax vessels approaching. Significant numbers. Harlow nodded almost imperceptibly. Expected, Lieutenant. They're not taking chances. Returning her attention to the communication, Harlow addressed Vexel with calculated openness. Commander, our sensors indicate additional Myriax forces approaching. Please understand this doesn't concern us, but transparency will build trust between our peoples. Vexel's posture stiffened momentarily before relaxing. You detected them already. They're still 7 light hours distant. As I mentioned, Commander, our technology has evolved considerably, Harlow reminded him gently. But so has our diplomacy. We understand caution and respect your right to secure your borders. This exchange prompted visible recalculation in Vexel's manner. The reinforcements were dispatched before our understanding, Captain. Standard protocol for unknown contact scenarios. Of course, acknowledged Harlow. May I suggest we use this opportunity productively? Perhaps joint exercises between our vessels could build military cooperation while diplomatic preparations proceed. The suggestion clearly surprised Vexel. Joint exercises. You would reveal tactical capabilities to a potential adversary. To a potential ally, Commander, corrected Harlow. Trust must begin somewhere. After brief consultation with off-screen advisors, Vexel responded. Limited joint operations might be arranged. Basic navigation and communication protocols only. Excellent starting point, agreed Harlow. My XO, Commander Abara, will coordinate with your tactical division. As arrangements progressed, the atmosphere gradually shifted from tense diplomacy to cautious professional exchange. When communications finally ended, Harlow allowed herself a deep breath. The first full-lung expansion since the encounter began. Captain, ventured Commander Abara. Alliance Command projected only a 12% chance the Myriax would agree to formal diplomatic relations on first contact. Yet here we are, arranging joint exercises. Harlow studied the tactical display, where the Myriax fleet had subtly repositioned into a less aggressive formation. The universe rarely conforms to our projections, Commander. Still, this exceeds all mission parameters. The technology gap between our civilizations is far wider than intelligence suggested, which makes our approach even more critical, noted Harlow. Their isolation wasn't entirely self-imposed. Historical records suggest early encounters with expansionist species drove them to defensive postures. They retreated not from weakness, but from traumatic experience. Like humanity after the Proxima Wars, observed Lieutenant Chen thoughtfully. Precisely, confirmed Harlow. We recognize the pattern because we lived it ourselves. The Mariacs need assurance that power doesn't automatically translate to conquest. 3 days later, as the Horizon's Reach maintained position alongside the Mariacs command vessel, Captain Harlow reviewed final preparations for the diplomatic mission to Nexus Point. Joint exercises had progressed smoothly, perhaps too smoothly, with the Mariacs carefully limiting information exchange. Captain, priority communication from Commander Vexel, announced Rodriguez suddenly. Put it through, ordered Harlow, setting aside her preparations. Vexel appeared on screen, his posture conveying unmistakable tension. Captain Harlow, we have a situation developing. Our long-range sensors detect anomalous energy signatures approaching the Nexus Point system. Identification? Asked Harlow, instantly alert. Unknown, but the pattern suggests Vraxian scout vessels. Harlow exchanged glances with her tactical officer. The Vraxians, highly aggressive insectoid expansionists, with whom humanity maintained cautious non-aggression treaties, had been notably absent from this sector for decades. Your assessment, Commander, prompted Harlow. If Vraxians discover our diplomatic meeting, they may perceive it as a military alliance forming against their interests, Vexel explained. Historical records indicate they've sabotaged multiple Mariacs diplomatic initiatives in the past. The Vraxians have similar history with human diplomatic efforts, Harlow revealed, particularly in contested regions. For a moment, understanding passed between them, the recognition of a common adversary that had shaped both their civilizations' approaches to galactic politics. The diplomatic summit must be postponed, concluded Vexel reluctantly. Not necessarily, countered Harlow. Perhaps we can use this situation advantageously. Explain, requested Vexel, compound eyes focusing intently. The Vraxians respect strength above all else, Harlow noted. If they witness coordinated operations between human and Mariacs forces, they may reconsider interference with our diplomatic process. You suggest we deliberately reveal our cooperation. Vexel seemed skeptical. I suggest we demonstrate that neither of our species can be intimidated or manipulated, clarified Harlow. A joint patrol of the Nexus Point system would send a clear message while securing our diplomatic venue. After brief consideration, Vexel responded. An interesting proposal, Captain. However, such coordination would require significant tactical integration between our forces, far beyond current protocols. Precisely why it would be effective, Commander, Harlow pointed out. The Vraxians would recognize the significance immediately. The decision matrix was complex, balancing immediate diplomatic momentum against operational security concerns that had defined Mariac's policy for centuries. Harlow waited patiently, allowing Vexel space for consideration. I will consult with the High Council, Vexel finally decided. But speaking personally, Captain, I find your strategic thinking compatible with Mariac's principles. Coming from a Mariac's military commander, this represented profound progress. Thank you, Commander. I look forward to their decision. 48 hours later, an unprecedented formation entered the Nexus Point system. 3 human vessels, including the Horizon's Reach, flew in perfect synchronization with 5 Mariacs warships. Their coordinated maneuvers, impossible without significant command integration, displayed a level of cooperation that sent unmistakable messages throughout the sector. On the bridge of the Horizon's Reach, Captain Harlow and Commander Vexel stood side by side, watching tactical displays as Vraxian scout vessels hastily retreated from the system's outer boundary. They're withdrawing completely, noted Vexel with satisfaction. No observation drones left behind. The message was received, agreed Harlow. Cooperation achieved what neither of our forces could have accomplished independently. Vexel's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps there is wisdom in your alliance's approach to interspecies relations, Captain. We learned it through difficult experiences, admitted Harlow. Much as the Mariacs have, I suspect. As final preparations for the diplomatic summit proceeded, Harlow reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. Centuries of conflict, misunderstanding, and eventual growth had transformed human civilization from isolation to integration, from fear to cooperation. "Captain," ventured Vexel hesitantly, "your historical archives mention a human concept, the edge of understanding. Could you explain its significance?" Harlow smiled genuinely. "It's the recognition that true comprehension often begins at the boundary of conflict, the moment when different perspectives finally align enough to glimpse shared truth. Like when an alien Armada realizes it's facing not just a human warship, but a potential ally," observed Vexel with surprising philosophical depth. "Exactly, Commander," agreed Harlow. "Exactly that moment." As their vessels maintained formation around the diplomatic moon, human and Mariax officers worked side by side, each beginning to recognize in the other not an alien threat, but a mirror of their own civilization's journey from fear to understanding. The edge had been reached. Understanding had begun.